Hello there and welcome back to another Premier League video. We're going to be looking at, very briefly, Crystal Palace versus Burnley, and then we're also going to be looking at Brighton. Nope, we've done that one. That one's already in another video. That is in the previous preview video as well, so feel free to check that one out. I will leave a link in this video for it here. We're going to be looking at Bournemouth versus Newcastle, Arsenal versus Norwich, Everton versus Leicester, West Ham versus Chelsea, and Sheffield United versus Tottenham. Manchester City versus Liverpool will get its own separate video because Liverpool are my team and I want to put a special focus on them as well. Feel free to get your thoughts in about any of these games that are coming up, and also about Crystal Palace versus Burnley, which we're going to touch upon right now. For a game that had so many chances, it was still so very boring. It honestly really was. It lacked quality. The goal itself was an okay goal for Burnley. They won't care because they won 1-0. Getting the win is probably much more vital for them, regardless of how they do it. Regardless of how they score the goal, they don't necessarily want it to be, and if you pick up the win, it doesn't really matter how you score. It's just, or how you play. It's just about picking up the win, and that is exactly what they did. They picked up the win here through Ben Mee, and it puts them into 8th position, and Burnley are doing really well at the moment in time. Puts them tied on points with Tottenham, not too far behind Man United. Obviously, these teams have a game in hand and such, as do Sheffield United and Arsenal, who could go above them as well. But it puts them in a good place, really, that the lowest that they could go at the moment, after these guys have played, is 10th. And that's pretty good for Burnley. It really is. For Crystal Palace, it's not too... There's not really a great deal to say because Palace are still having their best season. They're placed at 11th. They could have gone higher today. They could have gone to where Burnley are right here, but they're not. And it was a lack of quality. Just a lack of quality from both teams, and the fact that Burnley managed to get the goal. That's pretty much it. That's all there is to say. Wilfried Zaha didn't really make a difference. These guys coming back in didn't really make a difference. I don't know where Benteke is for Crystal Palace. I should have looked, but I can only assume he's injured. That's why he's not getting picked. It was just such a lack of quality. It was actually generally quite a boring game, and I don't mean that offensively. It just was. I nearly turned it off at one point. I just thought, this isn't worth my time watching, because it didn't do anything for me. It wasn't anything that I couldn't really enjoy it. But it's a good win for Burnley. Puts them in a good place in the table. Don't know who they've got coming up in the next game for them. So Burnley are on the left-hand side. They've got Sheffield United. That could be good for them as well. And then they've got West Ham as well. Crystal Palace have got Leicester and Chelsea. 2 difficult games there, with Leicester needing to pick up wins as well. So, look, it was just one of those games that sometimes you turn it on and it's not a great game. And it wasn't a great game. But Burnley will be happy. They got the victory. Crystal Palace will not be happy. They didn't get the victory and they performed quite poorly. Let me know what you think in the comments about that game as well, if you watched it, if you stuck it through on Amazon Prime. Now we're going to move on to the games that we're previewing, which is, we got Bournemouth versus Newcastle. Now, Bournemouth versus Newcastle is vital for Bournemouth in particular. Newcastle looks safe. Newcastle look like they only need to pick up a couple of points here or there, and they'll definitely be safe. Don't need to worry about relegation, which for Newcastle is massive, and for Steve Bruce is massive as well, because Newcastle have always gone right close to the line in terms of saving themselves from relegation season on season, even with Rafa Benitez as well. With Steve Bruce, they don't play the best football of all time. That is a fact. But, however, he has managed to get them into a position where they could be safe from relegation with like 5 or 6 games to go. And that is huge for Newcastle. That is actually something of an upgrade of what they've been used to, what they've been doing in the past couple of seasons. And that's great. That really is something, maybe it's a platform for Newcastle to build from. And that could be something, when recruitment and all that stuff in the summer, they can think about that then. However, for Bournemouth, every single point is vital. Every single point is vital. It is absolutely crucial for Bournemouth to go out there and get a victory. They have to go out there and win. It would put them on 30 points, put them up to 16th position. It would drop West Ham and Watford into the... Not Watford, sorry, but it would drop West Ham into the relegation zone. It would drop Watford that little bit closer to the relegation zone and catapult them out of there. And that could actually be really good. It would, and the fact that Watford have actually played a game more and lost goes in Bournemouth's favour, because if they can get a victory here, then it would actually it would boost the fact that they could get themselves out of relegation as well. The one thing, there's probably a couple of things, but the one thing that I feel that Newcastle will have over Bournemouth is they've got a bit of a better quality of play. Bournemouth they'll take the possession, and Newcastle will probably give them the possession as well. What Newcastle will do, St. Maximin, the people, and Matt Ritchie, people playing out wide, they will provide the quality. Maybe even a John Joe Shelby as well, with his, the long range of passing that he's got, and sometimes the accuracy he's got as well. They will provide the quality for Newcastle over Bournemouth. Bournemouth, on the other hand, somehow have to find a way to win, which they haven't really been able to do for a long, long time. 3 losses in their last 3, as you can see down there. Bournemouth are going to have a fight on their hands here. And they, like I say, Bournemouth have to come out like they know they have to fight to win. And I'm not sure whether Bournemouth will do that. I'm not sure whether Bournemouth have to show something at this moment in time that shows that they are fighting for their Premier League survival. Because if they don't, and they go into 6 games remaining of the season, and they can't pick up a victory, or they can't pick up draws, they can't pick up points, they get to 6 games left, and it starts to look extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. One of these teams, I said it in a previous video, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, West Ham and Watford, one of these teams will click, and one of these teams will start to catapult themselves up the league a little bit, just enough. And I do think this relegation battle is going to be one of those where it's just enough. It could even be goal difference that separates a relegation place. The fact that 3 of these teams are on the same points, one of these teams is going to flip. Now, the bottom 3 could stay as it is. It absolutely could, which would be huge for West Ham. A massive escape for West Ham. But one of these teams will click something together, or will pick up a point or 3 points here that they're not expected to. And they will do it. For me, it's not going to happen here against Newcastle. I think Newcastle will probably nick this one, maybe 1-0. They put in a pretty good performance against Man City while it was defensive heavy, but it had to be against Man City. It was the way that you knew Steve Bruce was going to set it up. But if they play anywhere close to where, who did they beat 3-0? If they do anything close to what they did to Sheffield United, even to Southampton as well, yes, these 2 got red cards in that game, but if they do anything close to that, and even against Aston Villa, Newcastle have got this in the bag, in my opinion, and I think that Newcastle will win this game 2-0. I don't think that Bournemouth will have enough to threaten Newcastle. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments below about this game. We're going to move straight on to Arsenal versus Norwich, and for me, this game should be Arsenal all over. It needs to be Arsenal all over. The only thing that goes against Arsenal is Arsenal themselves. And people will know exactly what I mean when I say that. Norwich are 22 points away from where Arsenal are right now. Norwich are rooted to the bottom of the table. Where Arsenal are right now, though, in 10th, for those fans, is as if they're bottom of the table. This is going to be probably pre-George Graham era, probably one of the worst league positions that they've been in. I'm just assuming, I'm just guessing. I don't know their history, obviously, as well as I would know. Like, Liverpool's my team. But I've always forever known, especially since Wenger took over, that Arsenal were a top 4 team, always. This position right here will absolutely be hurting Arsenal fans without a shadow of a doubt. What they could do here with a victory is they could go 8th, they could also go 7th if they get a victory here, depending on what Tottenham's result will be, and whoever they come up against as well, once they've played their games. And depending on Sheffield United as well. And if they can get themselves up to 7th position, then they'll start to feel a bit better, start to feel like there's a bit of progress here, while also taking into account that they're coming up against Norwich. By all accounts, Norwich play fantastic passing football, sometimes really good attacking football, but it is always the final pass or the final 2 passes that go missing for Norwich, and they just don't put things in the back of the net, because their build-up play can be very, very good. Can be very, very good. And in the last game that Norwich played, which was a cup game, where they got the sending off against United, they actually played really well, pushed it through to extra time, I believe. Arsenal, on the other hand, they beat Sheffield United in the cup game as well, so they've gone through into the next round of the cup. They'll feel a bit positive about that. Maybe a bit of a bounce can happen for these guys, and that might actually catapult them into some good form, which they desperately need coming into the end of the season. If these guys want to get themselves a Europa League place, that's the only thing that they should be looking at right now, Europa League place. Anything else after that would be extra. But Europa League is exactly what these guys need to be aiming for. Get themselves another European place, and that extra, that financial, while it's not what the Champions League gives them, it'll give them a little bit more of a financial security going into the next season. Then hopefully they can do that here. That's what they need. Norwich, on the other hand, I've said it for weeks, that Norwich need an absolute miracle to get themselves out of this position right here. 31 games played, they got 21 points. It's not enough. It just isn't enough. They know that. Everybody else knows that. They don't need me to say that they're not doing good enough. They really don't need me to say that at all. They need a miracle to get themselves out of this position. And after facing Arsenal, they've got Norwich. Sorry, no, they've got Brighton coming up as well. Like, basically everybody that Norwich come up against is above them in the table. Have done better than them in some way in the table. Even Aston Villa, Bournemouth, West Ham, they just have. For me, Norwich have been down and out for a long, long time. And unless they can find a miracle, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Arsenal should have this one, have a bit of confidence after the cup game. I don't know who they're going to play in this game, like in terms of personnel, but Arsenal should be looking for the 3 points in this one, and that is exactly what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal victory in this game. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now we're going to move straight on to Everton versus Leicester. Leicester desperately need to start picking up points. They really do. Whether it's a draw or a win, whatever they need to do. There was a moment in time when this third position, like people were just saying, we know what the top three is going to be. Liverpool, Man City and Leicester. But who is that fourth position going to be? Leicester are on 55 points. Chelsea are on 54 and in brilliant form. Wolves are on 52 points and again, themselves in pretty good form as well. Same with Man United. They're coming up behind them in good form as well. These guys, these three teams right here are chasing Leicester down hard. They're chasing them down like a freight train. And Leicester, at the moment in time, people are now calling Brendan Rodgers a bottle job. He's this, that and the other. He's going to bottle top four. It's not going to happen for them. And in a way, opposition fans aren't wrong. And Leicester fans should be worried a little bit. He needs to start picking up points desperately and wins, by the way, to make sure that they stay in the top four. It would be absolutely sacrilegious for the season that Leicester have had and to be so close to Man City's points as well. If they pick up 3 points and they go to 58 points, they're 5 points behind Man City. Like they could have had a bit of a chance of getting second position as well, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. But they are actually at risk of dropping down, depending on what Chelsea do, depending on what Wolves do and Man United, they could drop down to 5th or 6th position. They could before the season's out. Leicester need to get themselves together and go for it. Everton are a difficult team to come up against. Everton can frustrate you. Carlo Ancelotti's got that quality where he knows how to frustrate opposition and get the best out of his players though as well. Plays good at counter-attacking football. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison are very, very good as out people. Get themselves up the pitch. Both of them very confident in front of goal. If anything, if I'm being fair, they were very unlucky not to get a result against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby. They had the better chances in that game. They were much more dangerous in certain positions as well. They've got all the qualities that you would need to threaten Leicester. And Leicester at the moment, they can't pick up a win, really. Yes, they got a win in their last 3 here, but 2 losses, 1 win, and 2 draws. That's not good enough for a team that are in the top 3 and want to be challenging in the Champions League next season. It would be great to see Leicester in the Champions League, but make no mistake, it's not a given when they come up against Everton. These are a difficult team to come up against. Defensively, quite good. Going forward, they are quite good, and they will threaten Leicester very, very much. I am going to go for a 2-2 draw in this game. I think they're both going to cancel each other out. I don't think that either of them will do enough to get the win here. But if anyone's going to win this game, Leicester need to, but I think Everton will. But but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in this game. Let me know what you think in the comments below about that one. We come on to West Ham versus Chelsea, a London derby of sorts, and West Ham have it all to do here. West Ham, 27th position, same position pretty much as Bournemouth and Villa. They are just kept out of the bottom three on goal difference alone. They have not been good this season at whatsoever. They really haven't. They can be a difficult team to come up against. They can, on their day, attack very, very well, put attacking moves together really, really well, really nicely. But their day is too few and far between. And when they're coming up against Chelsea, who are absolutely buzzing right now because of their result that they've just had against Man City, picked up a win here against Aston Villa, obviously beat Man City. Then they go into the cup game, didn't play very well, but still picked up the win here. They're going to come into this game on the back of 3 wins and be like, we're having this. And also the fact that Chelsea are chasing down Leicester's 3rd position. These guys are going to be well up for it, and I think West Ham, it's going to be far too much for West Ham to cope with, in my opinion. And that is just my opinion. Some people might not agree with it. West Ham could get themselves up for this game. I just don't think that West Ham have shown me anything that really says, look, 4 losses and 1 win in the last 5, West Ham are totally going to do it against Chelsea. I don't see that, to be honest. I think that Chelsea will have too much quality going forward. They'll be buzzing off the back of a good couple of results. Even in the last game when they played quite poorly for most of the game, they got the result. And that is something that they will take into this game going forward. And they are a real threat for Leicester's 3rd position here, and also securing themselves top 4 for the season. I'm going to go with Chelsea. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Chelsea win. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this game. And we move on to the final game here, which is Sheffield United versus Tottenham. 2 teams that are very close to each other. And Sheffield United, I really feel for them, because Sheffield United have had some unfortunate results, really. Poor results as well, results that they've done to themselves. This one wasn't their fault. This one they should have won, and it was that VAR goal line technology error. Since then, it just hasn't happened for them. 3-0 against Newcastle, 3-0 against Man United, 2-1 in the cup game against Arsenal, and they were competitive in this game as well. They were quite competitive in that game. Tottenham, on the other hand, for me, they've got the better forwards. They've got the better strikers, and I think that will be what gets Tottenham over the line in this game. Getting Harry Kane back scoring, the likes of Heung-min Son as well, Lucas Moura, Steven Bergwijn, however you say his name. I just think that they're going to have too much quality for Sheffield United. And also I think Mourinho will be better defensively as a coach and as a whole system team than Sheffield United will be. And I feel that will get Tottenham over the line as they try and chase down 6th and 5th. I think that top 4 is out of it for Tottenham this season. They're 9 points away. They would need quite a run of results to go their way, as well as their own results to get them into the top 4. But I think that Tottenham will have too much for Sheffield United, which is really, it's a shame. But Sheffield United have done themselves really well this season. Even if they don't finish in a European place, they've done themselves very, very good this season. So I don't think anyone can really criticise Sheffield for not finishing in like 7th or 6th or anything like that. If anything, it's just that the top teams, their quality is starting to shine through a little bit later on in the season, and I think that's what will get Tottenham over the line in this game. I think it'll be the difference of having a Harry Kane, a Heung-min Son, the people that I was talking about before, Bergwijn, Moura. I think that these guys will make the difference for Tottenham. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Tottenham victory. I don't think it's going to be, they're going to smash Sheffield. I think it's going to be a really difficult game, but I think that Tottenham's quality will get them over the line in that game. That's it for everything that I'm going to talk about in this game. There is going to be a Liverpool versus Man City preview on its own, where I just talk about that game on its own. So feel free to check that one out as well if you like. And hey, let me know what you think in the comments below about all of these games that I've previewed here. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again, and I will catch you later.